When we meditate, we are supposed to look for the transmission.
Right.
So that actually helps us to, be more immersed, I guess.
Yeah, so all these ideas are there about the transmission. So, so let me say this about transmission, right? So when one is prepared to receive this transmission through meditation sessions you attend as part of heartfulness, when we go into meditation every time, because this channel is opened for us, we automatically receive transmission. Even if you go to church, your mind, your heart opens up to this divine presence, you receive transmission. Once this channel is opened, that's what I mean. And even if you are watching a movie of a life of some divine saint or whoever, prophet, whoever, right, you feel transmission. And you're participating in some kind of a spiritual or religious discussion, you feel transmission because the channel is opened for you. And how you feel this transmission varies according to your condition. It varies. Suppose if I am stressed out, I am in some kind of a disturbed state and I am still meditating, I don't feel the transmission. Though we still receive the transmission. What transmission is doing is it's slowly refining us from inside, and it is so subtle. I don't think anyone can really claim that they are getting this transmission. Only they can feel the changes, after effects in the mental state and the bodily state. That's about it. But once we go experience these deeper inner conditions as we practice, we become little more sensitive to it. So though we are getting in every meditation, in every thought, we are getting the transmission. Sometimes we think we are feeling it, sometimes we don't know how to feel it. That's a fundamental difference there. Okay, so we don't really look for transmission. We just, with an open heart and mind, with the devoted heart, we just try to connect with the divine inner presence. And the transmission automatically happens. We don't have to look for it because we don't know how to look for it and what to look for it. Even after 30 years of practice, I don't know what to look for it if I have to look for transmission. So it just happens, and if I become sensitive to it, sometimes I am sensitive to it, sometimes I am not. So when I'm sensitive to it, I feel good about it. When I'm not sensitive to it, I assume that it happened and then I leave it at that stage. Okay. So I was reading this book, The Heartfulness Way, the volume 2. I believe it's available in the bookstore. I just thought I'll share a few things from here in today's session, and then we can get into meditation. So the question is on belief. So this is the conversations between Elizabeth Dunley. She is the practitioner from Australia, and she collected all these discussions with Daji, and she is published as a book. So let me read out the question and answer. The question is about so Daji, can you speak to us about belief? Most religious and spiritual traditions are contingent on belief in a deity, a god or goddess, while scientific traditions are contingent on belief in the current paradigm and theories. Despite having such strong belief systems, I've noticed that many people are dissatisfied and express an underlying sense of lack. You have mentioned that our belief limits us, contributing to this feeling of incompetence or incompleteness. If so, how do you find true fulfillment? So that's the question. And Daji is saying, Elizabeth, I am reminded of an incident in Babuji's life that happened many years ago. A new meditator asked Babuji if he could describe what it felt like to experience a higher spiritual dimension. It was an honest and a sincere request. Babuji replied, I cannot explain what it feels like. Words fall short of it. Instead, if you permit, I will help you experience the state in meditation. So Babuji gifted the newcomer an experience of something quite exquisite. And no belief was needed, only interest and the willingness to open to experience offered. So now would it have happened if there is no interest from the newcomer side? So belief is a starting point. It also a stepping stone to the truth. Belief is often a piece of truth, but it may also become an outdated, biased, twisted version of the truth that hardens over the time into dogma. So let me explain what Daji is trying to say here in my own words. in Especially in spiritual traditions, there is not so much talk about the belief. But belief is a starting point. Even if you look at life of Jesus, the translators what should I say? They try to emphasize on the belief when they did the Bible translation. But if you really look into the essence of the message, I would say the essence of the message is always pointing to devotion than belief. But belief is a starting point, right? So, like in Jesus, he keeps on reminding, like, if you love me, keep my commandments. He did not say if you believe me. And he also said, whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves. This is a very important, the spiritual secret. I'm reading from Luke 9:23. Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves. Take up their cross daily and follow me. What does that mean? Deny themselves. It's basically saying, so I'll explain you now the concept of belief, right? So a belief is the beginning, is the root. And you can say devotion is the fruit. Okay. Belief is a root and devotion is a fruit. Belief, it starts with the belief. It starts with the introduction to this higher essence. But what happens is, at each level, even in spirituality, at each level, there is a trap. You can get trapped in that la la land. They eat the leaves of the lotus flower and they get disconnected from the reality. Similarly, in belief, initially, because we have to just believe. We don't know about it. We don't know anything. We just started. So belief is good. But later, to ascertain that belief, we use lot of emotion. We invest into it with lot of emotion. When we invest into it with lot of emotion, we get trapped in that emotional, uh, la la land, you can say. Then what happens? You have to kind of prove, keep on doing it, keep on getting trapped into it. You don't know how to get out of it because you're investing a lot of emotion into it. You're investing yourself into it in an emotional sense. I'm using this emotion word again and again to basically make this discussion in the right track. So what happens in that emotion, because we are invested in it, we want to have that in our control. Suppose if I'm investing money in some business, don't I have to have a control over my money? How it is growing or losing? I want to have control. If I'm losing stocks, I want to sell them immediately. If I'm making money, I want to wait. Things like that. I want to have a control over it. So to have that control, even we apply the same sentiment to this, to which what we are devoted to, what we are believing in. So we make it constricted it to a form and a name and some miracles, some fundamental basic things. We want to limit it to that. Because anything, if I want to go beyond that, I lose my control. Because I'm invested in my belief, I want the God to be at beck and call for all my shortcomings. Correct? You see the sentiments, you see the what happens through the emotion. We are basically constricting it, the contracting ourselves and contracting our approach. It's like if I want to travel from point A to point B, I can take a car, or good olden days, I can go on a bullock cart. If I go on a bullock cart 10 miles, it takes about 4 or 5 hours. Can we afford that time today? We cannot. In the olden days, they could afford because their lives are very limited in approach. They have only few things to, cater to. But all this technology advancement is supposed to give us more and more time, but we are getting more and more busy because now we are expanding in our approach to life. Right? So, this contraction limits our approach to this divinity which is infinite. So, belief is the beginning, correct? It is very apt in its place, but we cannot continue in that state. We cannot get trapped into that state. So, we have to go a step ahead of it. So, it begins with the devotion, the next step. But devotion is also a very constricted idea. Devotion without proper understanding. So the whole idea, the approach is to become that. To become that, even in spiritual states, at each point in a spiritual state is a trap. You can get trapped in there forever and enjoy the lull that spiritual condition is creating. Even that is a trap. Right? So we cannot approach with a constricted mind. So it requires a lot of courage, openness, and let go. And that's why he says, deny yourself. Means remove your identity, remove your control. Don't say I'm a devotee, don't say I'm a believer. Look for the real essence. Can I become that which I am devoted to? Can I see the real truth? Or only the periphery, the perceived truth. I use the word la la land because in the la la land you get disconnected with the reality. We are living in the la la land. One lives in their own projection, and that projection to be the highest, but which is not real anyway. That's why in order to come to the reality, deny yourself. That's what the Lord Jesus is saying. Means remove your identity. Bring the higher identity into you. Take the cross and walk means it's basically bring His identity into you. So it requires a lot of courage to lose one's own identity. There is one saint, Paltu, I think I shared with someone today. He says, I went in search of the beloved and I lost myself. So that's the kind of the journey we undergo for the real essence. Otherwise, we can be happy with whatever we are, in whatever the state we are. We are happy with we can be happy with our own understanding to an extent, whatever we read and understood. But if I want to take the infinite journey, it requires a total leap of trust and faith and ability to execute it, ability to work on it, and keep moving. We should not get trapped at any stage, even in spirituality. I've seen so many who get trapped and they don't know how to come out. And it gives them a feeling that they have achieved something. But they're not going anywhere. It's like running on the treadmill. You can walk 10 miles, 100 miles, but you are at the same place. That's what happens when you get trapped in spirituality. Right? So, I'll stop at the belief point today. We can discuss the next aspects of what Daji is saying in our next session. But I'll stop here for any questions, comments. Otherwise, we can get into meditation.